Hello everybody, this is Miss Elise from the Morristown and Township Library, and today, for this week's art adventure, I have a little craft for you inspired by the work of R.C. Gorman, specifically his work, Navajo Velvet. It was printed or first created in 2004, and it is owned by a private owner. However, you can buy prints of a lot of R.C. Gorman's works on his website. While this painting, or this print anyway, is only about 16 years old, a lot of R.C. Gorman's work is a lot older than that, as he did do a majority of his work through the 50s and 60s. This work in particular is a special kind of work. It's a stone lithograph, which is a method of printing where a stone is used to transfer an image onto paper in the form of a print. So it's a lot like cutting a piece of cardboard and digging into the material and painting it, and then printing it onto a piece of paper. Gorman is a well-known Native American artist. He is known as the Picasso of American Indian artists because of his use of incredibly vibrant colors and fluid forms. His work primarily features Native American women and the Native American heritage as a whole. He is really inspired by artists of a similar nature, like Diego Rivera, who we learned about last week through Frida Kahlo, that this is her husband, David Siqueiros, and Rufino Tamayo, because they all use a lot of really vibrant colors in their work and have a lot of subtle shifts from abstraction to abstract realism in the mid-20th century. This is a movement where you see a lot of abstract shapes and forms which are used to create realistic subject matter. And this is kind of drawing upon the idea of cubism a lot, but it's in transforming it into a way where it's much more, it's much less chaotic and much more easy to read by anybody really. Gorman founded the first Native American-owned art gallery in 1968, and it is the Navajo Gallery in New Mexico, in order to provide a platform and a gateway into the art world for other Native American artists like himself. Overall, Gorman was incredibly influential as an artist because he is one of the very few well-known Native American artists who used his creative expertise to create beautiful works of art which display his pride for his culture. And with that being said, let's get into today's craft inspired by R.C. Gorman. So these are materials that you're going to be using today in our craft. They're fairly simple and you can find most of them in your house. First off, we're going to need a glue stick or another form of glue, whatever you prefer. You're also going to need a pair of scissors. I'm using these ones. You're also going to need several different types of ink pens. I have 3 different varieties here that I really like. This is a black Le Pen. It is a fine tip pen. You can use a fine tip Sharpie, that will work great, or even a gel pen will work really well for this craft. Next, I'm using this white Jelly Roll 8 pen. This is really nice because it is a gel, but it's also in a white color, so it's more opaque. And last but not least, I'm using a fine point Sharpie in black, just so that way I have a bit of variation in my line sizes. But whatever you have offhand also works well. This is optional. I don't actually use this in my craft, but another option instead of paper is to use tissue paper to create a little bit more texture within your craft that we're making today. I have these cut up into little paper squares, as you can see here, but obviously you can use these if you want. I don't, but you can use them if you have them. And last but not least, you're going to need several varieties of really vibrant colored paper. These are really, really important because a lot of Gorman's work is incredibly vibrant and colorful, which we really, really like. I have most of the colors of the rainbow here, in fact all of them, so let's get started with our craft. I'm going to be using this purple piece of paper as my background, and I'm going to be using the rest of the colors in order to create abstract forms. So what I'm really going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to kind of cut free-form shapes. It can be any shape you want. It can be a square, a circle, a triangle. It really doesn't matter as long as it's kind of what you're feeling. I have cut this organic shape. It's not really a circle, but it's not really an oval either. It's almost more of like a pear shape. And I'm just going to continue doing this for the rest of my pieces of paper. Now when we put these all together, like I'm doing here, I want to create a bit of a realistic looking result, I guess, that's the right word. So what I'm doing is I'm laying out the shapes in a way where I can kind of see what my subject matter is going to be. I have decided it's going to be a woman sitting on a hill with a dog, and you can kind of see the shape starting to form here. And once I glue all of this paper down, you're really going to see how how it really comes together to create sort of like a picture already. Gorman used a lot of this kind of style in his work with the abstract realism. And once we have our basic shapes glued down, I'm going to be taking my pens and outlining the details that I want in order to make sure that we're adding that realistic characteristic to our craft. It could be any subject matter you want. I'm going with this nighttime scene right here. Doesn't that look really, really cool? It combines a bit of that realism and abstractness, which is incredibly beautiful in Gorman's work and displays his heritage wonderfully. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this craft adventure this week, and I will see you guys next week with another good video. Bye!